Hey there. Start here. So we've got Clash of Wills coming up this week. It feels a bit unusual because normally, normally Gumi doesn't like to overlap Dark Visions and Clash of Wills, but for the last couple of months they've actually been overlapping them. So maybe this is just kind of a new normal thing, or maybe they're just trying to figure out how to get their schedule back on track. But normally we do, it's the typical 2 weeks of Dark Visions, then 2 weeks of Clash of Wills, and then 2 weeks of Dark, whatever. And they're normally staggered that way so that the events are not overlapping. But here we are, and it's the only thing going on this week. So, it is what it is. So I figured I'd go ahead and do a sort of preparing for Clash video. I missed doing one of these for the last Clash, but I'll do one for this one since we don't really have much else going on. So our Clash of Wills is against the Cybernetic Dragon Osta. So Osta was the second ever Clash of Wills boss. It was the Undead Dragon. So no cybernetic enhancements. Apparently, after we destroyed the undead Osta, somebody got a hold of it and brought it back, RoboCop style. So we have RoboCop Osta. He is back, angrier than ever and ready to fight us. But don't worry, I think we'll be able to take this one down. The boss races are Machine, Dragon, and Reaper. Machine is a very easy killer to gear for. So is Dragon for the most part. There's quite a lot of Dragon killer out there. And I'll show you some of the different killers and some of the best ones for going up against this boss when I get to the units later on. But Machine and Dragon is actually pretty easy to gear for. Reaper is probably the one that's going to give most people the struggles. Is with the Reaper killer. But yeah, I think this one won't be too bad to gear for the most part. Obviously, premium units are going to be the way to go if you're struggling with killers, because premium units at EX2 all have 200% Omni killers, so gearing them is very, very simple. So just keep that in mind. The weaknesses are Lightning, Wind, and Dark, so you should automatically be thinking of, all right, do I have a strong lightning team? That's going to be the primary weakness, so keep that in mind. You want to make sure that if you can field a lightning team, that will give you the best chance of success. Just because typically the main weakness is a 40% innate imperil compared to the minor weaknesses, which are only 15%. So it's a pretty substantial bump, especially if you're going for a rank 1 clear, because typically when you add all the modifiers together, the boss gets like an extra, I think like an extra 75% elemental resists across the board. So yeah, keep that in mind. Lightning will definitely be the way to go. But if you pulled on Malphase last month, then you could still easily field a Wind team, I think, and go Wind because she has the Imperil field. So Wind is still a very, very strong element on this one. Dark also, if you've got Ibarra is going to come back and wreck this one, I'm sure. So if you've got the Dark units, you got like Melissa on the party, you've got Ibarra as your main DPS, and then just kind of, spread around some DPS units in there. I think you're going to be just fine going Dark element as well. So the boss uses lightning, dark, and non-elemental physical, magic, and hybrid attacks. So I like that they've included hybrid attacks in that list, because what that means is that you could potentially bring a physical tank to this fight, because physical tanks can cover hybrid attacks. Magic tanks can also cover hybrid attacks. So it just depends on whether or not the magic attacks are non-elemental or if the magic attacks are elemental. If the magic attacks are elemental, then you can potentially gear your team for enough resistances and then bring a physical tank. But if there's a lot of non-elemental magic, then you're probably going to want a magic tank, and then you're just going to use Mirage for the physicals. So I think we kind of have to wait and see on this one. I'm kind of excited with the hybrid attacks thrown in there because that makes me think that there might be a bit of flexibility in whether or not you can use a physical or a magic tank for this fight. But we'll just have to wait and see. All right. It'd be really cool if the physical and magic attacks were elemental and then the hybrid attacks were non-elemental. That way you could theoretically bring either tank. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, use the attacks that inflict poison, sleep, and zombie. The poison and sleep are whatever. The zombie is the one that you want to worry about, and that's going to be most detrimental to people that want to bring Melissa on the party, because Melissa does the preemptive re-raise on the party, which cannot be dispelled. So the only way to really get around that is to kill your party. Kill somebody on your party who can then re-raise the party once they get zombied. If Osta does an AoE zombie, that would be really bad. If it's just single target zombie, then that you could probably get away with still bringing Melissa on the party. Just whoever gets the zombie and dies, you'll just raise them, and then hopefully they can provoke it. In the future, you might just put like a provoke on somebody to be the bait for that one, for the zombie attack or something like that. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't really recall what the first Osta did. The first Osta did use zombie on the party. That was something that it did. But I remember it was pretty buggy. Like it was bugged, and it took a very specific like action pattern to get it to use the zombie, and I believe it was single target. So hopefully it'll be a single target zombie this time as well. Reduces parties, parameters, and resistances. Yeah, that's whatever. It's going to imperil us to lightning and dark. It's going to try to break us. So just make sure you're bringing break resists and making sure you're bringing somebody that can buff lightning and dark resistances. Luckily, it's only 2 elements you have to worry about. Sylvie right away takes care of lightning with her 200% lightning buff. Melissa, of course, takes care of dark with her 200% dark buff. So, you could probably... Obviously, if you brought both Sylvie and Melissa, then none of the elemental damage is going to touch your party. So that's something to keep in mind. But you might not be able to fit both of those on your party. Counters if not dealt lightning, wind, or dark. And that's very typical. I mean, the bosses always have some kind of counter if you're not hitting it with one of its weaknesses. So obviously just hit it with its weakness every turn, and you will... I don't think anyone's ever complained about those counters, because you're never not going to hit it with its weaknesses. It just seems kind of silly at this point to even have that anymore, but I guess it's there just to punish you if you do forget, I guess. There's nothing really new, but let's see. Here it is. Adding lightning, wind, or dark element to your units will increase your morale. So if you have somebody that can on demand add lightning, wind, or dark to the party every turn, like for example Malphasy, she could theoretically cast in Eroga every turn, and that would be a good morale bump for you. If you're bringing lightning, I'll be bringing Wondrous Flash Lightning, of course, for my rank 1 clear. She can cast in Thundaga every turn if you need her to increase the morale a little bit. So things like that, keep that stuff in mind. Melissa, she can do in Darkga. Those are going to be good little morale bumps for the party. The morale skill that is specific to this Clash of Wills will be Stormproof Will, which just boosts lightning, wind, and dark resistance for all allies. I do find it interesting that it says boost lightning, wind, and dark resistance, because it doesn't mention anything about the boss using wind attacks. If the boss tosses in some wind damage in there, All right, that'll be something to consider. You might want to increase your wind resistance on your tank or your party, but it only says lightning and dark, so I'm not sure why Stormproof Will is increasing lightning and wind and dark. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, nothing too fancy there. I don't think I talked about this in the last one because I didn't do one for the last month. This breastplate or cuirass of Will, I have not picked this up. I have not used any Xenostone shards to pick this thing up. I personally do not think it is it's worth it at the moment. I think you know, especially for someone who hasn't already picked up all the other gear. Like, I have all the other gear and I still don't want to pick this up because instead what I'm doing is I'm saving up my Xenostones for if a situation comes up where I maybe need to purchase one of the upgrades for another piece of gear. And like, this just is not enticing enough. Like, even when it's fully maxed out, like we look at some of these, you know, like a defense and spirit plus 120, like a flat 120, that is just, I don't know, that's not all that good. HP is only 300. You know, passive HP is 20%. We have STMRs out there that are giving like 100% HP, and with better flat stats than this. So honestly, until they come out with an upgrade for this, which they might come out with an upgrade for this next season, in which case they might upgrade all the base stats and everything, and you know, upgrade all the passives and whatnot. Until they do that, I'm honestly not spending any Xeno shards on this gear. I do not think it's worth it. Definitely, and especially if you don't have the other gear is definitely a higher priority than this breastplate of will. Okay, so you know, in my opinion, the priority order is the rings. All right, get 2 rings, and then you can work on the clothes, because everybody in the game can wear clothes. So you get the regalia of will after that. Then maybe the and then after that, probably you probably want the diadem, just because it can either be a really great support equip for your tanks, or if you're somebody who has Genesis wants that upgraded, the Prophets version that gives all the MP, so that's great for Meteor users. So the diadem probably next. And then you can work on like the Celestite crown and the vest, and all of that before you get to this. Like, this piece just is not worth, it's just not worth the resources, in my opinion. All right. And I think that's all that was in the news that's worth discussing. They didn't note any, they didn't make any notes on any like new bonus mods that they're adding. So it's the same stuff. So number of turns. So it's going to be the 10 turns or less to get your rank 1 type of thing. So they haven't made any changes there. So it looks like it's a pretty standard Clash of Wills. Oh, I will talk. Yeah, so I will talk about the materials that you can get from the store. Supernatural Subversion, definitely pick up 2 of those. 4 killers on it. Even though they're at 50%, having 4 killers when we're in the age of triple races, definitely pick up both of these, okay? They're 1,000 drops each. Definitely pick up both of them. Heavy Armor Mastery, also really, really crucial. I would definitely pick up both of those as well. As far as the units that are in the shop, I think Emperor is probably one of the better ones, just because he's a great wind breaker. So that's kind of funny to say, he breaks wind. But yeah, he's a really strong breaker for mages, and also brings a 160% wind imperil. So he's a really great unit for this fight in particular. And if you're needing one to maybe get him to like EX2 or something like that, it might be worth picking up one of those. Tulian also really, really good for Earth teams. If you don't already have like 1,000 Tulians, so Tulian's, you know, one of those units that tends to troll people, but Tulian is really great as an Earth breaker, an Earth Imperiler, Earth support. Obviously, my best girl Esther is in there. She is, you know, a bit long in the tooth at this point, and Gumi hasn't shown any signs that they're gonna like buff her or anything like that. Like, she really needs a bit of a mod boost. She needs a 150 amp to really sort of stay relevant in today's meta, but I am going to be using her in this upcoming Clash of Wills, so she is still viable, absolutely. And as far as on this list, though, I think you just need to see what you need most. I definitely prefer, you know, in situations like this, I definitely prefer like breakers and support units over damage dealers. So just take a look at that and see what you need. Magic Mermaid Frisia is also good for this current Clash of Wills, just because she's a great wind support unit. I'll talk about her later on. I don't think I would waste anything on General Celeste or Ricard, but yeah, that's totally up to you. All right. Enough about that. Let's talk about some of the units that we can bring into this fight that will be useful for this upcoming Clash of Wills. So just like I always do, I'm going to go into Clash of Wills, and we're going to look at all the different teams that we can put together, as well as looking at, you know, different categories of units. All right, so what I've done here is I've gone ahead and I have set up the team that I'm hoping will just, you know, first turn clear this thing all the way up to level 99. I don't know if I'll be able to get away with it, but we'll just have to, yeah, we'll just have to see. I'm hopeful that this team will be able to clear me up at least pretty close to level 99 on a first turn kill. All right, and so obviously we've got Cloud, so that's the Cloud remake. I'm starting him in Brave Shift form just because I have preemptive LB boost on his Brave Shift form, so then I'll shift him to normal to do his normal LB. All right, obviously I'm bringing my Wondrous Flash Lightning. She's there bringing the big PP damage. Malphasy is also going to be bringing, you know, big turn 1 damage. So her Brave Shifted LB has a very solid modifier on it for turn 1 kills. You see with Lightning's leader skill activated, her Clash leader skill is a 900% attack and mag buff and a 750 defense and spirit buff. So quite nice. So Cloud in his normal form also gets that buff, so he looks pretty good there. All right, Malphasy obviously bringing damage with her LB. Sylvie obviously is there for buffs and for the Lightning Imbue and Imperil. Kaito is there for the breaks. And you know, to potentially dispel any like defense buffs or anything like that. So that, you know, one of the things that makes Kaito so great for these first turn kills in Clash of Wills is that oftentimes bosses will do like an undispellable defense and spirit buff, but it's usually not any longer than 3 turns, and so Kaito can get rid of that and open the boss up to a first turn kill. So that's why I like to bring Kaito on my FTK teams. And then Chizuru, just because she's, you know, she's got an extreme Nova chain, so she can chain with Malphasy. She's also pretty strong in her own right. She's a bit hard to gear for the killers on this one, but that's why I brought Cloud along, just for that extra damage to make sure that we can kill this thing on turn 1. Now the bosses have been, they have increased the base HP on these bosses to 3 billion, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do 3 billion damage on a first turn with this team. By the time we get up to level 99, that might be a stretch, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'll show you some of the gear, just to give you some ideas of some useful gear for this Clash of Wills. Now, as for Cloud, his gear is pretty standard. There's really nothing too fancy about it here, but some of the killers are good. I most notably want to point out Last Guardian. This is a really good killer. It's from a 5-star unit, 5-star Noel, and it's 80% attack and 75% machine and dragon killer on it. This is a really great killer for this fight specifically. Definitely, if you don't have too many of them, go check your inventory. You probably have a bunch of Noel just laying around in your inventory or in your reserves, and go make a whole bunch of these, you know, like 5 or 6 of them. You want one for each one of your units. Now it is physical killers only, so keep that in mind. If you have any pure mages on the team, they do not benefit from this, but units like Malphasy or Olive, it does work on them. Also works on Ibarra, right? So physical mages can still benefit from this. So it is a great materia to have. Obviously, he's got the Bunny Bosom Buddies because Cloud needs 2 forms of Chain Cat boost. So that's where this comes in, plus the Indestructible Light. I don't think he's capped on everything. No, 300 Machine, 275 Dragon, 250 Reaper, but that's okay. That should be enough to get the job done. And then, like I mentioned, in his Brave Shift form, he's really just there for the preemptive LB boost, which is from Blades of Black Flame Reagan, right? So it just gives him the mod boost to his LB for that turn 1 kill. You could also put Titus's STMR on him in his Brave Shift form. That works just as well. All right. Now, as for Lightning, so in Clash of Wills, like when I'm going for rank 1, she's going to be doing most of her damage in this form because her normal form LB is the one that gets the modifier boost in Clash of Wills. So if we go down to Strength of Will, okay, it adds the mod boost to her normal form LB, okay, which is Army of 1. Okay, it does not add the mod boost to her Brave Shifted LB, which is a different LB, okay? Now, this is a good thing because this is not element locked, so you can use her for different elements. We're obviously going to be going lightning on this one because it is the main weakness. But yeah, so she's still I'm still going to give her all the Clash gear, even though she's not going to be using this on the first turn kill team. She's going to be using her Brave Shifted LB instead. This is still, you still want to make sure she's geared in here because if you're using her for your first turn kill strategy, you're definitely going to use her for your rank 1 as well. All right, and so here's some of you see another Last Guardians in there. She doesn't need too much to reach the killers because she's a premium unit, so she hits all those killers pretty easily without needing too much there. So yeah, 300 Reaper, 300 Machine, 300 Dragon, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, she does need Chain Cat boost. That's what the Magister's Ring is doing there. Now in her Brave Shift form, you see she's almost hitting almost hitting 20,000 attack unbuffed. That's pretty insane. So we're getting up there into some really crazy stats with these leader skills. But yeah, pretty much the same gear. Not really anything too different here. And yeah. Again, same stats going on there. So she's going to be ready to rock and roll for that first turn kill. She will use her Brave Shifted LB for the first turn kill strategy as long as it gets us done, because it does come with the Sword Imperil, and it is already Lightning Elemental. We'll just use Sylvie for the Lightning Imperil, and we should be good to go. All right. Malphasy, we're not worried about her normal form. Because this is just for a first turn kill. So she's going to start in Brave Shift form, where she has the much stronger modifier on her LB. It also comes with a 40% Fist Imperil on it, so it's very nice and handy. And that way you can actually build her with fists. So here's some of the gear that we're going to be using. Shantoto's Ribbons, I think, has one of the killers we need on it. No, it doesn't. Okay, never mind. I lied. But Blessed Talisman does, and this is a piece of upgraded gear you get from the current Vision World. So definitely upgrade this one. Wait, that's not the one. Is that the one I was looking for? Oh, that's not the one I was looking for. I thought there was one that had killers on it. Turns out, I guess it turns out I don't even need it, huh? I must have picked up the wrong one. All right. Well, never mind. It's a high mag accessory, so so grab it anyways. It's good for the mag stats. But actually, since that doesn't have, I thought that had killers on it. Apparently, it doesn't. So I'm just gonna go ahead, since I don't need the killers anyways. I'm just gonna do some pixie dust on there. Oh, it was Saint's Amulet. This is the one I was thinking of. Okay, if you do need some killers for your mage, this is the one I was thinking of. So if you upgrade this one fully, 50% mag, 50% machine killer, both physical and magical, with 78 flat mag. So it's actually pretty nice, and could be useful on some units if you're lacking in the gear. All right, but I'm just gonna go ahead and put on Pixie Dust. All right, just give her a little bit more EP. All right, As far as the gear, here's some useful killers that you can use. So Mechanic for the Royal Family is a 100% machine killer, both physical and magic. You get that from Cindy. She is a 5-star unit. Valued Memories, of course, is Irvine's STMR. It's still proving that it's one of the best STMRs in the game. It gets a lot of use. 100% physical machine killer, keep that in mind, but still works on physical mages. And then obviously just regular undead and regular machine killer. Moonlit Night Parade of 1. This was a special vision card on that step up for Malphasy. So if you have Malphasy, you almost certainly have this vision card, and it does have some dragon killer on it. Unfortunately, it only matches up to one of the races, despite having 6 of them on it. Only one of them matches up, but you know, better than nothing. It's got some dragon killer on it. And yeah, so she is also maxed out and ready to go on everything. Excellent. So Sylvie is, yeah, she's just here for the buffs, for the lightning amp, for the lightning imperil. That's all she's doing on this team. But this is the same gear that she'll be wearing in my rank 1 clear as well. But I'll go over that. I'll go over that later, so I won't talk about that right now. All right, Kaito. He's not really here for damage. Like I said, he's just here for the breaks and the support. But some pieces of gear that are good to remember. Nomad's Necklace, this is Sky's STMR, and don't forget that it comes with 50% Dragon and Reaper Killer, and you can stack it. So put 2 of them on there, and you got 100% to both killers with a decent attack stat. I mean, 65 is kind of low for these days, but you know, it's still fine. Like for the killers, it's worth it. Life for the Purge, this one was a limited one, but it does have Reaper Killer on it, and it's got 70% attack or mag, so you can put it on a physical unit or a mage, but definitely don't forget about that one. Yeah, just put this on him for morale fill. All right. Chizuru. So Chizuru is a bit difficult to build for this one, so I had to be a bit creative with some of the killers on this one. Mask of Azura. I don't know why I put that on her because it doesn't have any of the killers. For some reason, I kept thinking it was a demon, but it's not. So Mask of Azura is actually not going to do anything for you. So we can switch that out for something like what has Reaper on it? I think Dreamer's Crown. Yeah, that's got 25% Reaper, so we could do that if we wanted to. We could also, let's just do a quick filter and see. Do we have, what are our dragon killers? Violet Ice Crown. All right, what does that do? 25 if you've equipped a katana. All right, so we could put that on her, but only 1 piece of dragon killer there. What about machine? Oh yeah, we've got scanning goggles. Ooh, that's a good one. Yep, because that does 50% machine killer on it. Yeah, okay. And that's an easy one to acquire from Eileen. Might actually do that one. Although I think machine's the only one she's not really struggling on. Yeah, that's funny. That's actually the one she's not struggling on at all. Let's check for Reaper. All right, so you've got a few options there. You've got Ark's hat, but that's for mages. We've got Basead blue bandana. Ooh, that's got 50% Reaper Killer on it. Nice. Okay, so I might use that one. That's a limited piece of gear, but now with the Chamber of Seals open, I believe you can go and acquire this at any time. Although, actually, that's not any better. Oh yeah, that's right, because it's got Fairy and Reaper. But if you're struggling on machine killers, then Eileen's STMR is just as good. It's got the same attack stat. Cypher's Coat is there for the machine killer, 50% machine killer there. So Griever is there for also, I believe that also has machine killer on it. I think that's why I did that. I did that for the 50% LB damage and 50% machine killer. All right, now this one is limited from Vision World, and if you missed that Vision World, the Final Fantasy VIII Vision World, you cannot go and get this one. But if you were there for it, hopefully you got it. I already talked about Nomad's Necklace. And then yeah, there you see Last Guardian again popping up. Soaring Legendary Dragon, this is from Flammy. A limited unit, so you might not have it, but it does have 75% Reaper Killer on it and 60% attack. And then yeah, cool smile for her. I know that this is available now on the global VC step up. I don't think it's worth pulling for it, even though it sees a lot of use on Chizuru for like first turn kills. That's really the only time it ever sees use. It's not worth it to go pick up this card. It really isn't. I definitely wouldn't recommend going for this card unless you have all the other vision cards and you really, really want this one. Yeah, I don't recommend picking this one up, to be honest with you. But let's see. Her killers are 275 Machine, 200 Dragon, 250 Reaper, and only 250 LB damage, but that's fine. She's really just there to chain and hopefully deal a little bit of extra damage. We'll just have to wait and see. All right. So this is my my first turn kill team. Hopefully it works all the way up to level 99. If not, I'll just have to readjust. Right. Once I am done clearing up to, well, I'm gonna go ahead and save this because I did make a few changes there. Let's go ahead and save that in my FTKO. All right, so now my rank 1 team that I've planned. So this is the team that I'm hoping I'll be able to use to get rank 1 because it has some of my favorite units. Obviously, having Wondrous Flash Lightning means I'm going to make her my leader. And thus, since her leader skill does apply to Abigail, that means Abigail can come in and be our tank. She is the magic tank of all magic tanks. She is the Runda of magic tanks, if you will. And so she's going to be coming along to hopefully tank the majority of the damage for us. Sylvie can provide Mirage. So can Kaito. Kaito can also do some Mirage for the party. So we hopefully will be covered there. And hopefully with the leader skill, you know, the big PP leader skill that Lightning brings, we'll be able to get away with using units like Esther as a DPS unit. And then I'm really hoping that Sky can come in here and wreck this one with us, because for those of you that remember, Osta was the Clash of Will where Sky was first introduced. And so Osta is the Great Destroyer from Sky's world, much like the Exterminator is the Great Destroyer of Esther's world. And so I really hope that Sky will work on this team. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Sky is there for my rank 1 against Osta, because she deserves it. She needs to be there. She has to destroy Osta, right? It is, you know, for the lore of the game, she absolutely has to be there for this. So I'm really hoping that she works on this Clash of Wills, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm hopeful that she will. If you know, if for some reason she doesn't, you know, I'll decide whether to swap Esther or Sky out for like Nora or maybe Malphase. You know, Nora is going to be really, really great on this one because of her lightning Imperil field. That will be very, very useful. The news didn't mention anything about the boss using fields, so I don't know if we're going to need to have fields to like overwrite boss fields, but who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But Nora will still be great for the Imperil field on demand. And then obviously she's a very strong lightning unit in general. And her SLB is great for buffing up everybody else's LBs. So, you know, that's probably a pretty natural swap for a unit like Esther to throw Nora in there, and then Sky could continue to you know, get revenge against Osta for that. So there's some potential swaps on the team. Let's take a quick look at the gear of my rank 1 team. So we know we have to gear for lightning and dark. So I've got my my Abigail geared for you know, almost 300% lightning and dark. Could probably should focus a bit more on dark with Sylvie on the team, because Sylvie is going to buff her by 200%. So I could probably take some lightning off and throw more into the dark resists. But yeah, hopefully that'll be enough. She does have a Blizzard Orb so that she can counter, because her counters will help refill HP, MP, and LB gauge for the party. And here's the gear that I'm using. Honor of Grandshelt actually is a bit of a waste. I should probably take that off and put something like Sylvie's Basket on there. In order to get more resists. I think I'll actually go ahead and change that now, because I think I would prefer to have more prefer to have more dark resist actually. So let's use Celestial Buckler, because it does 40% dark. Okay, that's Chow's TMR. Okay, it's a light shield. So that way, yeah, now her dark is looking a bit better at 310. And that, yeah, that's a bit better. I could even take this off. Let's actually even, we're just going to go ahead and do all this right now. We could go ahead and put Kryla's Veil on her and give her even more resist across the board. Yeah, so now she's looking even better now. Looking even better. But you see, like, honestly, Abigail doesn't need the new Clash armor, because like Imperial armor, which is Wilhelm's STMR, it's still perfectly fine. Like, this works on her just as well. I could even put Cecil's, I mean, you know, Cecil's STMR is fantastic on magic tanks. Like, you know, 100% HP, 115 spirit, like, it's insane, but I don't really need it because her HP is already capped, right? Yeah, and so here we go. Diablo Synergy is great for dark resist, 80% dark resist on that. Winged Heart is great for great for the lightning resist at 60%. Also does a ribbon effect, which is fantastic. Reclaim Serenity. This was an old Clash piece of gear, but it does 60% lightning and dark. And then Priestess's Vengeance is nice because it does 60% dark and comes with the Vengeful for Morale, which does the morale restore as a counter. And then this is the, so this was the special vision card that was on Abigail's banner. So if you pulled for Abigail, you should have this one. It does 30% across the board. If you don't have it, you can also put Sylvie's vision card on her, which does the 30% across the board elemental resists. All right, I'm actually going to set this as my favorite. Okay, so that's Abby. She is rip-roaring ready to go, I think. So lightning, we've already kind of covered the gear here. Nothing different. Everything is exactly the same as I showed you previously. Yep, don't think there's anything different, so I'm not going to bother going over that again. But I will say that she'll be using her normal form during the rank 1 clear more often than she uses her Brave Shift form. I might go into Brave Shift every now and then just to do the Sword and Gun Imperil, because if you remember, her the one on the cooldown does not have full uptime. So it's a 5-turn cooldown, but it only lasts for 3 turns. So you kind of have to keep that in mind. All right. All right. So Esther. All right. She's not going to be the top DPS on this one, but hopefully brings enough to the table to get the job done. And so geared her as well as I could. Magister's Ring for chain cap boost. And then yeah, here's some more killers. Wing clippings. That one is from the previous season of Clash of Wills, I believe. So again, 4 killers with 50%. Really, really nice. So I picked that one up. It's got Dragon Killer on it. Okay. Only matches one of the killers, but that's fine. Sometimes that's all you need, right? Valued Memories, we talked about that before. Dragon Killer Plus, easy to get. Her own vision card even has some Reaper and Machine Killer on it, which is really nice. So even if you don't want to bring Esther, but you have her vision card, do keep it in mind, because it does have 50% Machine and Reaper Killer on it. So it could be very, very useful on another unit for maxing out killers. So she should be good on everything. Yep, capped on all those killers, because she hits Machine and Reaper super easy, so then you just have to worry about Dragon Killer. Very, very easy to build for this one. And I'm not worried about her Brave Shift form, because with Abigail in the party, I don't think we're going to need it. So Sylvie in her... So Sylvie is really just here to be the passive provoke unit with some evasion. So she's full evade, full provoke. She is dual wielding with Wilk's card just for extra morale fill every turn. Okay. I don't know if this is going to be a really, really bad morale battle or not. Like the last couple of clashes have been a bit of a morale battle where you've needed to bring a bit more morale to the battle. I'm not sure if we're going to need that this time, but I've got that on there just in case. Pretty much same build in both forms. She doesn't really need anything too fancy. I am going to put a hat on her though. I'll just put the diadem on her. All right, and I'll set that as favorite. So she's good to go. All right, And yeah, Sylvie's basically just handling everything. She's handling the, all of our buffs, all of our resists, break resistance, ailment resistance, you name it. And then obviously she's bringing the big lightning amp for the party, for those that don't already have a 150 amp, which is pretty much everybody on the party except for lightning. And yeah, so she's going to be fantastic as always. Best girl. Kaito, yeah, again, not really stressing too much about his damage. It's pretty much the same build you saw before. You notice I gave him this card because I just want him there to fill morale every turn. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much all he's doing. I do need to I probably need to give him the Empress's Rod in this form for that turn 1 morale bump. But yeah, I'll do that later. So Skye, I haven't geared her in normal form yet because she's going to be doing most of her damage in Brave Shift form anyways. So in her Brave Shift form, I did give her an extra copy of Lightning's STMR so that she has a sword. That way she can take advantage of the sword imperil. She's got the Ruler's Chainmail. She's got Dragoon Helm. Doesn't really need Dragoon Helm, it's just a high attack helm. We're not using her jump. Obviously her STMR is Axe Gloves for high attack gear. And then she's got Bunny Bosom Buddies for the Chain Cat boost, because you may have been wondering, well, where's your Chain Cat boost? And there it is. And then yeah, Mechanic for the Royal Family, again, that 100% killer materia from Cindy. And yeah, she hits all the other killers pretty easy. She hits Dragon and Reaper basically innately, so then all you have to do is worry about Machine, and that's all you have to worry about there. So just make sure you have her intrinsic ability Sky High, which gives her all those nice killers, 150 Dragon and Reaper when she already had 150, so she caps it innately that way. And then yeah, make sure she's got 300 LB damage, and yep, she should be good to go. All right, excellent. And I think she's got full LB damage. Yeah, okay, I did see that. Great. All right, so yeah, that's my rank 1 team. I hope it works. Wish me luck. Fingers crossed. We'll see. I would really like to be able to walk in there and just sort of pre-plan a team and get it knocked out. I think having Wondrous Flash Lightning will definitely make that easier. I know not everybody out there is going to have her. But for those of you that do, you can certainly look for me, look for my videos out there to see how to get it done with Wondrous Flash Lightning. All right. Oh, actually, I should save that before, because I think I made some changes. So I'm going to save my rank 1 team. All right. So now let's look at some different categories. So we'll talk about magic tanks first. A lot of the magic tanks are pretty similar to the ones you've seen before. I've kind of put them in order of, the ones I think are most useful to least useful. Abigail, still obviously the best tank for magic tanking. I mean, there is no one better than her at magic tanking, and it all comes down to her mitigations, the 80% on her normal LB, the 85% general mitigation on her SLB. You just can't beat that. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why Runda is still the best physical tank in the game, because of those mitigations. And so yeah, she's going to be fantastic for this fight. If it's magic damage heavy with non-elemental magic damage, she's going to be fantastic. All right. Cecil is still really, really good, and he's particularly good for this fight because he has a lot of mitigations. He's got 80% Machine and Reaper mitigation. Now, it's magic mitigation, so this is assuming that he's going to be taking a lot of non-elemental magic damage. But yeah, I mean, 80% to 2 of the boss's races is going to be really, really good for him. Okay, so if this one requires a magic tank, Cecil is going to be fantastic. I mean, he's already a great magic tank, but this one is going to be fantastic. He also has 200%, I think he has the 200% dark buff, right? Where is it? Yeah, 200% dark buff. He doesn't have, he's got 100% lightning, which is still really, really good. And if you've got Sylvie on the team, then you've got 200% lightning, 200% dark. I mean, those two together, boom, you're covered. Your elemental resists are basically covered for this fight. So I think Cecil's going to be really, really good for this one. Ash, she's still a very, very competent magic tank. I think she's got machine mitigations. Yeah, so she's got 85% machine mitigation, slightly lower general mitigation for the party, but that's all right. So I think she could potentially be useful here, thanks to those mitigations. And she does have the big machine killer buff in her Brave Shift form, the Machine Achilles. So, if I can show it to you. So she does have the big buff here, which can be useful. We've been using it in the current Vision Worlds. You've probably seen a lot of people use it in Vision Worlds, this current event that's going on. But yeah, I think she could definitely see some use as a magic tank. All right. Snow. Snow's still pretty strong just in general. Like, he's a very bulky magic tank, and so I think he could probably take a fair bit of abuse. He also has the added benefit of being able to do some physical tanking if you need him to. He is also on here because he can imbue the party with dark. So he can actually do a dark imbue for the party, which it can be handy if you're going on a dark team. And he also does have some mitigations. So he can give 50% machine mitigations, both physical and magic, to the party. And he does do a 100% lightning and dark buff for the party. So he does have quite a bit going on for him as far as support as a magic tank. So, don't forget about him. If you're struggling to pick up a magic tank, or maybe you just happen to have an EX3 Snow, he could probably work for you. Maeve, I love her. She's definitely like a last resort type of magic tank, but I did want to keep her on here because she does fall under Wondrous Flash Lightning's leader skill, meaning she does get 750% defense and spirit. So she could potentially see some use, and she does have dragon mitigations in her kit. But I think if the boss is doing a lot of non-elemental magic, she's probably not going to be bulky enough to survive it, but we'll just have to wait and see. She also has the added benefit of being able to swap between physical and magic if the boss is doing, physical on one turn, magic on another, and you can handle both of those with her potentially. So that's why I wanted to keep her on the list. The one that's sort of the newbie to the list is Silent Knight Charlotte, and she's on this list because she does have some mitigations to dragons. So her normal LB does 75% dragon mitigation, and then her SLB is 85% dragon mitigation, with 75% general and 75% magic mitigation for the whole party, and comes with a nice 85% attack and 89% magic break. Also does some wind damage, so if you're doing a wind team, it actually does do some wind damage, and it's a physical type. So you can use physical killers, and it's spirit based, which obviously your magic tank is going to have high spirit. It's got a decent modifier. I mean, 300 times isn't too shabby for a tank. I mean, she's not going to be your main damage dealer, obviously, but it's not too bad, and it's triple bolting strike. So, yeah, I mean, she's got some things going on for her. As far as the rest of her kit goes, there's not really anything too much. She's just kind of a very, very basic tank. Not a whole lot going on in her kit, so she's really just there to tank it for you and maybe to chain with her SLB, and that's about it. All right. Now, as for physical tanks, if this fight requires physical tanks, the field is a bit smaller, but you do have Esther. Esther is probably going to be one of the top physical tanks, or if you need an Omni tank, she's there for it. She obviously has good physical mitigations to machines and reapers. And yeah, just, she's a very solid physical tank. She's still very, very good, especially when two of the races line up, like in this case. So I think she could definitely work very well as a physical tank if needed. Runda is of course there because, well, Runda tank is best tank. I mean, there's just no getting around it. Those mitigations are fantastic. He doesn't have any typed mitigations, but the general mitigation makes up for it over pretty much any other physical tank in the game. Maeve and Snow could potentially tank it physically, you know, especially if you can use evasion. But the boss will probably have accuracy on its attack, so I don't really know. But for the same reason that I put them on the magic team, you could put them on a physical tank as well. Bohemia is pretty outdated, but he does fall under Lightning's leader skill, so he does get the 750% defense and spirit buff from Lightning's leader skill. So maybe he could come in. I don't know. He doesn't have any mitigations for it though, so he's probably not the best choice. Aphmau could potentially come on because Aphmau does have machine mitigations for herself and for the party, but again, maybe not. But the nice thing about Aphmau is Aphmau can kind of double down as your breaker and your Imperiler if you have all the crowns, because if you crowned her normal form LB, it does an 88% full break and all these imperils. Very, very nice. So it imperils lightning and wind, which are two of the elements the boss is weak to. And so that you know, you can't say that's not handy. And also has machine mitigations, both physical and magical, at 75% for the party. So that's something, right? Something to keep in mind. Now, as for support units, so this is like units that can imbue the party or provide killers or, you know, good general support for the party. All right, and I'm going to start with White Mage of Benediction Rosa. She's really on here because, you know, she's just kind of like a general healer kit. She does have this ability, which is nice, that does elemental resists across the board. All right, so that's always very, very handy to have on a support unit. Don't forget that. But she's really here because she can provide 250% killers to both Dragon and to Reaper. All right, so don't forget about her. If you're looking for somebody who can provide some killers for the party, she is where it's at. And then obviously her SLB, well, her LB, we'll start with the LB, does 135% killers to Dragon and Reaper. All right, with the attack and mag buff, LB buff. Also break resistance, which is good. And then her SLB, that goes up to 160% killers to Dragon and Reaper, 300% LB buff as well. So she could definitely be good as your support unit, you know, sort of general support unit, if you need her on the battlefield. So don't forget about Rosa. She could be good for this one. Obviously, Melissa is going to be fantastic for her dark support, for her morale fill. She's just a great all-around unit. I don't know. Yeah, she does do 55% dragon mitigation to the party. So, you know, both physical and magic. So that could be very, very useful. Especially if, like, say you're bringing Cecil to the party as your tank, and he has mitigations for Machine and Reaper, and then you've got Melissa providing your dragon mitigation, and boom, your party is like mitigated against all three races right there. So that's pretty useful. She obviously has all the other useful skills. She's got the dark imbue with the ramping amp, you know, which you can use twice, much like Sylvie. She's got the where you can imbue the boss with darkness and then absorb it, right? And she does have dragon killers, 250 to one target, 150 to the rest of the party. So she's got a lot going on in her kit that makes her really good for this fight. Sylvie, I don't really need to say it. She's just a fantastic lightning support unit. Unfortunately, none of her killers match up on this one, but she's got so much else going on in her kit that it really makes up for it. So you just find your killers elsewhere, and she does everything else for you. So don't even have to really say anything. She's the best. Magic Mermaid Frisia could be good on this one if you're planning on going for a wind team. All right, she is a general wind support, so she, you know, her SLB does the 300% full buff with wind element added, 45% amp, and 300% LB buff. Very, very nice. She also has killers for Reaper, 100% Reaper killers, so, you know, better than nothing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, she's just there to imbue your party with wind and keep them buffed up, and to supply some Reaper killer for you. All right. Pretty much the same thing with Bulwark. Bulwark's really just here for the wind imbue and the 60% amp, but unfortunately none of his killers match up. So, you know, his killers are, his killers are Avian, Demon, Fairy, and Plant. Sadly, none of those match up to the current Clash of Wills. So he won't be providing any killers for you, but he will be there for a wind imbue and just for general morale fill and general support. He still has a lot of really great support skills. You know, never forget, like, Electric Ensemble is just like fantastic for, like, if you're in an emergency and holy crap, I need to like revive and you know, fill up everyone's HP and MP. You can use this twice in a battle. And his LB is still, you know, quite nice with the 350% full buff. It doesn't have any LB buff on it, unfortunately, but you know, it is what it is. And then I put Golbez on here primarily because he can provide a Reaper killer if he used his cursed armor. And so that's really the only reason why I put him on here, is just to kind of remind you guys that that Reaper killer buff on his Jet Black curse armor. It's a 160% Reaper killer buff after 4 turns with full uptime. So yeah, just keep that in mind. That's really the only reason why I put him on here. So now let's talk about breakers and imperilers. All right, now this is not an exhaustive list. You know, I don't want to cover every single unit because that would take forever. So do keep that in mind. But first we've got Red-Eyed Sage Soul. Now you do have to have him to EX1 in order to access his better breaks and his dark. I think his dark imperil field. I think all of that might be in his Brave Shift form. No, actually no, it is in his normal form, isn't it? Because his normal form is the breaker, and then his Brave Shift form is the I need to level him up, and then his Brave Shift form I think is the, let's actually double check here. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so if you wanted to do a dark team, he would be very, very good on that as your dark unit. And then yep, he does have, oh wait, where is it? Here it is, light and dark field. No, that's not it. Where's the thing that does the dark field? Maybe that's in his Brave Shift form. One of these does the dark field on demand. It must be in his Brave Shift form. I need to get him to EX1 to show you that, but I don't have it. But anyways, he's a great dark breaker for your team and can actually deal a little bit of damage on the side. You know, Zidane is good. Even the old Envy's Zidane, the OG, with his crowns, he's a bit better as a breaker and wind imperiler. Or if you have the new, like the latest, the Tantalus Zidane, he's obviously great on a wind team as your breaker imperiler. Emperor is another good one for wind if you want to break and imperil with wind. Hawkeye, if you have him, he's actually great on dark teams now if you have him fully crowned, because he can provide a 160% dark imperil, plus his breaks are very, very strong. So don't forget about Hawkeye for your breaker if you're doing a dark team. Edge, of course, you know, he's just kind of your standard lightning imperiler breaker. Sadly, he still has not gotten his crown upgrade, so you can't get the nice 160% imperil with the better breaks. Gumi just has decided they don't care and don't want to make lightning too strong, I guess. They don't want to make the lightning teams too strong by giving Edge his crowns. Whatever. But yeah, he's there. That's basically all he can do. He doesn't have anything else really going for him other than being a decent breaker with a strong lightning imperil. Same can be said for Reno, but you know, I mean, still, if all you're looking for is someone who can break, you know, do decent breaks and provide a strong imperil for your element, then Reno is great on lightning teams. So and he can chain bolting strikes, so he can be, you know, chain slave as well. Very, very handy. I put Gilgamesh on here just to remind me to talk about not this Gilgamesh, but the Neovision Gilgamesh, like the latest one, because he is also a dark breaker and imperiler with a 160% dark break. All right, so that's why that Gilgamesh is on there. You could still theoretically use this Gilgamesh because he does have a 130% dark imperil and an 85% full break, but you know, he's just not the best. I guess suppose on a budget he can be, and then you can basically chain any chain family you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. All right. So now let's talk about some DPS units. All right. So I've got 2 slots for DPS units. I'm not going to talk about ones that I've already mentioned, like in my, like, you know, all the DPS units I mentioned already in my FTKO team or in my rank 1 team. I'm not going to talk about them here. All right, this is just, you know, other damage dealers that I haven't already discussed. And also, again, this is not an exhaustive list. I don't have every damage dealer in the game. These are just the ones that I happen to have that I think I could talk about and mention as good damage dealers. All right, Nora will, I think she'll do very, very well in this current Clash of Wills. She's got good machine killers. She's got the lightning amp. She's got the lightning imperil field. I think she'll be very, very strong. So definitely, if you have Nora, mine's only EX1. I'm hoping to get her EX2 by like early next week in the Shard Dungeon. So I might actually end up bringing Nora on the team once she hits EX2. We'll just see. I'll definitely do at least 1 clear with Nora because I think she will be very good for this Clash of Wills. Olive, you know, she's an oldie but goodie. I mean, she brings it. She's still a very, very strong unit. And she does have a lot of machine killers in her kit. She doesn't have anything else. Like, she's not going to, she doesn't have the Reaper killer or Dragon killer in her kit. So gearing her for those 2 are going to be a bit difficult. But she does have machine killers, and she does have the machine killer buff in her kit. So, I mean, if you can figure it out, if you figure out how to gear her properly, then I think she'll still be viable for this Clash of Wills. Ibarra is still top tier. Doesn't matter what element you're going with. Obviously, she prefers dark element, so if you can do a dark team, that's great. The boss is weak to dark. You should be able to make that work. But even if you wanted to bring her on a lightning team, you know, bring Sylvie along, give her the 100% amp, she's still going to cook, man. She's going to crush it. You know, I think, how many of the killers match up on this one? She's got Dragon and Reaper. So the only one missing is the machine killer. Okay, so as long as you can provide a strong machine killer to her, she's going to bring her own buffs to Dragon and Reaper. And yeah, it's insane how many killers she gives to herself right there. So that's what kind of keeps her in the running, makes her very, very strong. And yeah, being a premium unit also means it's very easy to gear her for killers. So Ibarra you'll see a lot of teams with Ibarra on her, or on them, I'm absolutely sure. 2B is still going to be a really great unit for this one. Obviously, you know, she's a premium unit, very, very strong. She's got machine killers in her kit that she can also provide to the party, which can be very, very useful. You know, the thing is, you just have to make sure you have a leader that works with her. For those of you that picked up Elena, the Elena from Anniversary, all right, obviously that she's going to be the best leader for 2B, and 2B is going to be rocking it. I have no doubt 2B is going to crush it. Cloud Strife, you know, very, very strong. He does have he did get that 1 Clash of Wills ability, so he can do like consistent damage throughout the fight, as you know, after he's done doing his limit burst. And Cloud Strife does get the leader skill from Wondrous Flash Lightning, but he also gets the leader skill from Clash of Wills. So you can either use Elena with him, or you can use Wondrous Flash Lightning, and he'll get the buff from that. So if you have him on the party, he could definitely work for you there, I think. Dwayne is always, you know, always a strong unit. You know, being a dual wield unit with the 8 times chain cap, very, very strong, very versatile. If you can get his HP down below a certain level, he does the 160% Omni Killer buff to himself. So that's really handy in a pinch. It gives him 160% to, you know, every race. So you don't have to worry too much about your killer buffs. And yeah, he's still a very strong unit in Clash of Wills in general. So don't forget about him if you have him. Have them in your inventory. And here's some other units. Obviously, Flaring Ether Rain, he's still a very, very strong unit in Clash of Wills, even if you're not going up against the element of his choice, which would be fire. I don't know that Gumi's going to give us another Fire Week boss for a while because of Genesis, so we might not see another Fire Week Clash boss in a while, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, Flaring Ether Rain's still very, very strong. Like, he can just churn out damage every turn. Like, once you hit 200% morale, his triple bolting strike ability is just every turn doing a like 3,700 times modifier. He's stupid strong, and he provides the great buff that, you know, he's got that special buff that he can only use in Clash of Wills. He does 1,000 morale per turn. Like, yeah, I mean, he's still a fantastic DPS unit in Clash of Wills, even if you're not going up against a Fire Week boss. All right, so, you know, keep that in mind. Elena, so normally, you know, it's kind of funny thinking of her as a DPS, but she is clearly not going to be tanking this Clash of Wills. Like, you're not bringing her as a tank. So I think maybe this is her chance to see what she can do as a DPS unit. So, you know, gear her up, give her all the killers, and try and make her as strong as possible. And I think this will be sort of a good test of her skill as a DPS unit. She may fall flat. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. But you know, this will be her chance to kind of prove that she can hang with everybody else, and that she's not just a walking leader skill, right? So Sephiroth is you know, still a strong dark damage dealer. So, you know, if you have him fully crowned, he's got the amp. He's probably not going to be on a rank 1 team, but he might be there for your like level 99 clear. All right, he can still, and he's got, being a premium unit, he's got good killers, especially Reaper Killer. So, you know, definitely keep him in mind if you're looking for just like a strong dark finisher, for just doing like a level 99 clear. Same goes for Lady Shantoto. She's a very strong dark mage. So if you had, for example, let's say you had Red-Eyed Sage Soul, he'd be a great breaker to kind of pair up with Lady Shantoto to help you do a dark clear. Probably would only be viable in like a level 99 clear with no mods, but you know, still there. Same goes for Golbez. You know, still very strong on dark teams, because if you give him the cursed armor, then he can do the 88% break with 150% imperil, and he can drop meteor. You know, dropping meteors out there like a champ. Okay, but again, that's probably more for like a level 99 clear, probably even like a budget clear, I would say. And then there's Blades of Black Flame Reagan. I threw him in here because he is technically a dark damage, physical damage unit. He does have breaks as well, but in his normal form, he does have a 150% dark amp. So consider him for dark teams, again, probably just for clearing like a level 99, not necessarily going for like a rank 1, but I mean, who knows, maybe. Don't really know. On dark teams, he could still be one of the better units to bring. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for DPS units. I'm sure there are more out there, but those are just the ones that I wanted to cover real quick. The ones that I have in my personal inventory, and the ones that I think could be useful in the upcoming Clash of Wills. I will end by doing a selection of leader skills that I think will be potentially useful. Again, this is also subject to just the ones that I have in my personal inventory. I'll mention some others that I don't have, but starting off, Flaring Ether Rain, still very strong as a leader on teams that just have FFBE units. 500% attack and mag, while it's not the best anymore, while we're certainly leaving 500% in the dust, I think is still totally viable if you have strong enough units to back it up. So definitely don't forget about Rain as a leader. Elena is still one of the best leader skills out there for Clash of Wills. 750% to all stats for Clash of Wills category units, which is pretty much what you're bringing to Cal. All right, you're at this point in the game, you're not bringing anyone that doesn't have a Cal tag most of the times to a Clash of Wills. So yeah, she's pretty much covering everybody that you're going to be bringing to the fight, and 750% is more than enough to get this one done. Obviously, the new Wondrous Flash Lightning, she's bringing the biggest PP leader skill that we have in the game at 900% attack and mag, 750 defense and spirit. That is the best possible leader skill you can bring to this current upcoming Clash of Wills. All right, so if you have her, definitely bring her. She's going to be very, very useful for that leader skill alone. Malphasy is sort of like the new trend of units that have 300% outside of Clash and 500% in Clash of Wills. So Malphasy is certainly a fine leader. If she's the best leader skill that you have, that's perfectly fine. Other units like Richt also have the same thing, 500% for Clash of Wills units in Clash of Wills. The upcoming Elisperis will also have the exact same leader skill, 500 in Clash of Wills for Clash of Wills units only. So those are some other leaders that have that same leader skill similar to Malphasy. I'll note Young Hero Zack is good here because he does 600% to lightning category units. So anyone who has the lightning tag can get that leader skill, and that could be very, very useful in this current Clash of Wills, seeing as lightning is the weakest element for the boss. Now, even though he doesn't bring anything, he doesn't really bring anything else to Clash of Wills. He's a strong damage dealer, but he's not stronger than like most Clash of Wills units. But, you know, he's strong enough that he's not going to be a dead slot if you bring him just for that leader skill on a lightning team. All right, so that's why I put him in there. You can also bring like Tantalus Zidane for his wind, for the wind team, if you wanted to bring like a wind leader skill. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Nora is sort of like the old school, like 300% for Clash of Wills units, so like Nora and Dwayne. But if if you simply don't have a better leader skill, don't forget that Nora and Dwayne also have a 300% leader skill. And yeah, you could potentially use them. You could also, I suppose, you could do Ibarra's skill for Dark if you're going with like a dark magic team. You could also do like Deoxys if you're doing a dark team. But yeah, those leader skills are both fairly old now and probably won't see nearly as much use. All right. So yeah, I'm going to load back up my first turn kill team so that I'm ready to rock and roll after maintenance. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or you guys want to post your own ideas, your own strategies, do your own theory crafting in the comments below, please do. Please let me know what you guys are thinking about for this upcoming Clash of Wills. And thank you so much for following and supporting me, and I will see you on the other side.